As we've heard, President Trump's declaration of a national emergency is provoking considerable scrutiny. Even within his own party, opinion is split. And much of the talk now is about the court battles to come. Amna Nawaz starts there.
There are expected to be a number of legal challenges to the declaration, including from the state of California. The man who led that suit, Xavier Becerra, the Attorney General of California and a former member of House Democratic leadership. Mr. Attorney General, thank you and welcome back to the NewsHour. When you gave a press conference earlier, you said that you were going to be challenging the declaration in some way after you reviewed the text, that you have sister states filing with you. So now that you've read the text, what do you plan to do? When will you do it? And who's with you?
We're still reviewing, but we are prepared to move. We do believe that the president's actions are not only reckless but unlawful, and so we will move, and we have other states that are going to be joining with us that have been working with us throughout this whole process. We'll be ready to go because it's important to make sure that when Americans in whatever state send their tax dollars to the federal government, that they know that they're going to be used for the right purposes and the purpose that Congress said, not because some president says all of a sudden he's unhappy and he wants to declare a national emergency.
So I know you're still reviewing the text, but based on what the president has laid out, what do you think the legal basis for that challenge will be?
The president tried and failed to get more money out of Congress. As he said in his press conference, he's not happy. And he says this is a great thing to do, declare a national emergency. And he also admitted that this is not something he needs to do. Those are not the words of a president who is about to declare a national emergency. Think 9/11 under President Bush. Think President Jimmy Carter with the Iran hostage crisis. In those cases, the presidents were not happy about what they're doing. And neither president, of course, would have said, this is something I don't need to do. President Trump just simply doesn't understand that he's limited like any other American in how he tries to comply with the law. He is not above the law. And so in this particular case, under the Constitution, separation of powers, he doesn't have the authority to redirect dollars that Congress has allocated to the various states.
You know, the president's supporters will say, look, some of what he said today is absolutely true. There have been increasing numbers of family units taxing our system in unprecedented ways. There's this enormous immigration backlog. There's a crisis to some degree, and in the absence of Congress doing something about it, this is the president taking drastic measures to do something. What do you say to that?
We certainly have challenges on the border, and many of these challenges are manufactured by the president himself when he treats individuals who are trying to apply for asylum against the law, when he tries to use force on peaceful individuals who are across the U.S. border. And so there's no doubt that there's a challenge, but it's not a national emergency. For him to try to then rob money that's been allocated for good purposes throughout the country is to deny taxpayers of their constitutional rights to make sure that there's a clear separation of powers between an executive and the legislative branch, which is the branch that has the power to direct dollars.
Mr. Attorney General, very briefly before I let you go, we should point out in the past you have supported legally executive authority, executive actions taken by presidents. For example, the DACA program created by executive order under President Obama, and you filed a number of lawsuits against this administration. So a lot of people will ask, is your objection to this legal or is it political?
Remember that the President Obama acted on executive action based on his authority as president. He didn't change laws. He didn't try to dismiss laws. He was simply trying to work within the framework of our immigration laws in dealing with DACA and the DAPA program. Here, the President Trump is not simply trying to work within the framework of our existing laws. He's trying to undermine them and cancel them in order for him to be able to take money from other purposes that have been allocated by Congress. And so it's a clear violation of not just the laws and the appropriations done by Congress, it's a violation of the separation of powers under the Constitution.
Attorney General Xavier Becerra of the state of California, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.